So it is a Thursday morning or afternoon. I got the antique plates for the FC. So she's going to be completely legal. Okay, so now that we got the plate on the antique plate on the FC, I'm going to try to see if we can get some work done on the STI today. I'm going to try to at least get something done so I'll have some updates for you guys as I move along. So what I'm going to try to do today is going to try to get the vacuum ports installed on the intake manifold. Okay guys, so I brought the manifold inside so that I can lay down on something that's going to be somewhat scratch free. I am going to be installing 5 vacuum ports, and I'm not quite sure if it's going to be overkill, but I am gonna line the threads with Teflon tape, just so that there's no leakage whatsoever. So let me get that done. So we got that done. But one thing I did notice though that I failed to notice from before is that there is another port here. So I am going to need another vacuum port to be able to install on that one. So for now, I'm probably just gonna put a bolt on there with the same thread, just to kind of close that off and use these guys for now. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna need the that port anyway, so I think this might be enough. I might even need to have to cap these, so I still don't know exactly how much I need, but I figured, you know what, might as well get all the ports that I can get. So I may have been a little too cautious and not really threaded it all the way, because it looks like I have some. Now let me get some light in there. Looks like I got some if you guys can see that. Looks like I got some more threads that I can go further up. I was just a little concerned about it protruding and maybe causing some I don't know if you guys can see that, causing some turbulence. Okay, just gotta want to show you next is going to remove this tape. I put this on here just so that I don't like accidentally drop any nuts or bolts. I'm pretty clumsy, so I just wanted to make sure that I don't do anything stupid like that. Okay, and the way I'm going to sandwich the gaskets is the following. So I'm gonna, there's a guide in here that you have to use right here. So this harness is in the way. So, and there's another guide over here that you have to use. So hopefully this harness isn't causing too much of a I may have to move this harness and get it out from underneath here. This may be this may be going over here, I think. That would suck, because then I'd have to go through removing the coolant crossover pipe again. I think I should be okay. I think there's enough clearance in there to be able to, although maybe the phenolic or the phenolic, I never know how to pronounce that, so doesn't matter which side it's going to be. So I'm going to assume it's, so it does clear, so it's not much of an issue here, so that should be okay. That lines up, so we're good. And then I'm going to take a paper gasket, and that's how it's going to sit, and then the manifold on top. So I'm going to be doing the same thing for the other side. This kind of helps out a bit, not only just for the purpose of the phenolic, or to keep the temps from transferring from the block to the manifold. It's also going to serve me to give me additional height, because the throttle body on the AMS is going to be kind of buttoned up against this pipe. Okay guys, so having thought about it some more, I think I'm going to hold off in bolting down the intake manifold. I think what I'm going to do is run the AOS first, make sure that it's routed properly. I would like to be able to have access to some of the piping without the intake manifold in the way. I may mock it, basically leave it on the block and move it as I need to, just so that I can also provide a good measurement on some of the hoses that I'll be running. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about as far as clearance, being able to, let me see if I can get my phone light to turn on. So like that pipe right there that runs from the water pump, typically that normally goes to the expansion tank that is mounted on top of the intake manifold. I'm going to be deleting that. I'm going to be basically using the AOS to cycle through the coolant. So, and you'll see that when I do the install. Essentially, it's the pipe that I just showed you that'll run to the AOS, and then I'm not quite sure if, well, that's the inlet, and the outlet is underneath the AOS that runs to this. Normally, those two lines goes into the expansion tank that sits here, but like I said, I'm going to be eliminating that. Hopefully, it'll make the engine bay look a little cleaner without that clutter. So we'll see. So it's the following day. Unfortunately, I did not have the opportunity to work on the rest of the things I had planned for the STI, but I will be at the very least doing the AOS install today. I'm going to try to cover as much as I can, since I haven't really seen anything that's related to the AOS install to include the AMS intake and the expansion tank deletion. So if I don't get an opportunity to kind of cover every single step, what I will do is just kind of show you after the install how I routed the lines and how everything is set up and configured. So yeah, let's get to it. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is I am going to be trying to figure out how I'm going to be placing this tank in this location over here. IAG provides you with enough choices to figure out if you want it higher, lower, closer to the firewall, or further out with these bolt holes. And this is the bracket that you're going to be using to mount it. So I think I'm going to go somewhere in the middle, and you have a slightly bigger, I believe this is a 12 and this is a 10. You have two bolt holes where it's going to mount to here. Let me just put this bracket down and show you real quickly. The larger bolt's going to go here, and the small bolt's going to go there. I just need to figure out whether or not, so that I can get it flush on this bolt, whether I'm going to go behind this bracket or in front of it. But I'm going to go ahead and play around with it and see how I want this. The bottom hoses, by the way, are loose. I'm going to keep it loose because I need to figure out the orientation on where this hose is going to route. So I'm going to keep them loose, and I'll just tighten it up when I have this in place where I want it. Okay, so this is about the best location I can use. This is kind of crooked right now because it's just hanging there. It's eventually going to look like that. And the goal was to get it away as far as I can from the hot side of the turbo, to go pretty much get closer to the firewall and as high as I could. The only problem about going high is I got the AC line kind of in the way, and if I needed to service this down the road and or any of the hoses, it needs to have some clearance. So I will show you shortly. I'm going to disconnect this again because I need to make sure, because I'm not even quite sure whether or not the bottom hoses are actually loose or they're just meant to rotate that way, for flexibility and orientation. Okay, so this is the mounting position that I used to clear that AC line, and actually I was in error. The bottom is actually already tight and it's meant to swivel so that you can arrange the orientation of the hose the way you want to. So that's how she is sitting. Have some clearance here to be able to service the AC line and have enough room to have the hose run through. Now, having rushed through this and kind of got a little bit excited on getting it mounted, I'm gonna have to remove it again because one of the things I did forget, well, maybe I might not have to, I might have the clearance, but I forgot to put the drain line. If I can get to it, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I forgot to put the drain hose on the drain port at the bottom of the tank. So yeah, got a little bit too excited. So if I can't get to it with it already mounted, I am going to remove it and mount it. It's the 1/2 inch by 26, I think it is. So this is the is this it? Oh no, it's right here. So this is the 1/2 inch by 26 that I'm going to need to use. Set it aside over there. One thing I did notice is that the clamps that IAG provided, it seems kind of fairly flimsy. It seems kind of thin, and I don't know if you guys can see that. So I just went with a worm clamp. I just decided to just use that instead. I ended up taking out the tank so that I can do that, do it properly, make sure that it's snug. I don't have to worry about this later. Also, what I did was I loosened this, actually took it out so that I can swivel this for past this this port, because it was initially, when it was shipped, this was here. So these two hoses was together. I need to route this to the turbo line. So I didn't want it to do too many kinks and get in front of the AOS tank. Just a little cleaner that way. So you don't have to, because you have enough line in here to kind of route it. But you'll see what I'm talking about once I get this back on the once I get this mounted, and I'll show you the reason why I swiveled that away. Okay, now I got it mounted back into the position that I had it before. So this pipe, so this is the drain hose, this is the drain that's going to run to here. There's going to be a T that's going to be placed on here. One of the connection is going to be for the drain, and this right here is for the coolant. It doesn't really matter which one. These are both coolant lines, and I need one to go to the turbo. And the problem with the way this was positioned was that this was pretty much in parallel with this this hose right here, and so they were both coming out together in the same direction. And then for me to get one of those lines to the turbo side, it the kink would be sharp, or the bend would be sharp, and I was afraid that it was just gonna just kink and not provide the flow that it needs. So what I did was I swiveled it back facing that way, and it's right here. And so what this is going to allow me to do is going to allow me to do that, which is going to be less of a bend. It's going to be like this. So it's going to be less of a bend than if it was here. So I feel more comfortable doing it that way than the old position. So I don't know, hopefully that makes any sense to you guys. So I finally got it routed. Not sure if you guys can see that. So it's coming from back there, and just kind of loop it over the AC line and right onto the turbo. And the other one, have it routing down to here. There should be enough clearance here for a coupler. I'm going to provide enough slack, and that is going to route right to this. I can see if you guys can see it. Probably this is better here. So this coolant pipe that comes from the water pump. So not sure if you guys can see that. Let me see if I can get a better angle. This guy right here. So next thing I need to do is put on the, oh, by the way, so this is the drain. It's gonna go here, and like I said, this is going to it's gonna basically sit like that. See if I can get closer. It's gonna sit like that, and the drain pipe is gonna connect to this end right here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do next is I'm going to take the supplied hose. I believe this might be what, 2.5 inches, and you're gonna take this fitting, and then we are going to connect it to this port right here. And I'm gonna have this smaller fitting run like that, so that this piece right here is facing towards that, and this is where we're going to connect this drain that runs from the bottom of the AOS. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of cutting to make sure that it's the right length. So what I've done is I've actually, to try and avoid the downpipe, I'm eventually gonna get either the Perrin or the Grimspeed turbo. I'm sorry, the downpipe shield, heat shield. That way it'll protect the hoses from the heat that's being generated by that downpipe. I completed the AOS install, well, somewhat completed it, but I do have to say I averted a disaster. I was just basically tightening things up. I was starting to put that hose onto the turbo housing and clamp it down. I had my hand holding the nut. Unfortunately, it came off my fingertips, and I was here tightening it, actually moving the clamp over the hose, and silly me, I had the nut while I was doing that. I thought it went into that hole on the bell housing, and I thought it just got stuck in there somewhere. So I spent a good hour and a half trying to fish it with magnets, thinking that I might be able to attract it and pull it out of there, but I couldn't do anything. I thought I heard something drop, so I thought it was definitely in there, but nothing was getting pulled from the magnet. So I decided to call it a night, and I was gonna go get a scope to try and figure out where it landed. And I also spent a good amount of time trying to figure out whether it landed on top of the block, it fell down, or any of these crevices. And as you can tell, it's really busy. So to find that small nut, and this is the nut that I'm talking about for that T-bolt clamp that caused me a lot of headaches. But I'm glad I found it, and you would believe where I found it. So it was in this port. It's almost the same diameter as this port. So I really wasn't quite sure how it got in there, seeing that this hose was kind of over it as well. So I maybe that might have helped it guide it in there, but I don't know when it bounced off. Who knows? I'm just kind of glad also that it didn't kind of bounce into the turbo. But anyway, disaster averted, and I honestly thought I'd have to pull this motor again, and I'm thinking either she's fighting me or she doesn't want to be on the road. But anyway, so let me just go over the AOS install then, just so that you could kind of figure out what my routing is going to be after I did the install. So I capped this because this normally would go to the PCV system, but I've already kind of deleted that. So I'm just capping this off. For this line, it's going into the inlet pipe that goes to the turbo. This part right here is going into the intake manifold. I've already got the port installed on the AMS intake, and the flow, I believe this is a check valve, and there's a small little triangle, looks to be like an arrow, and it's pointing that way. So the assumption here is that the direction is going to the intake manifold. The top portion here, this goes into the passenger side of the valve cover. The middle is going towards the driver's side, and the bottom goes into this elbow, and this elbow attaches to that port that attaches to the long block. And there's a T here that runs into the bottom portion of this tank, which is the drain. And then this coolant here, coolant line, it should be running to the pipe, and you guys saw it in my last I took a shot of it. It's basically the port that runs into, or the hard line that runs from the water pump. And then the other coolant line is going back this way, like I showed you earlier, and it runs to the turbo coolant line. So that's how things are set up so far. I didn't tighten anything down on certain areas that I know that I could tighten, but otherwise I left it loose because I still need to put the intake manifold to ensure that I have enough play to adjust if I needed to, make this a little neater, maybe find a way to kind of keep this in line like that. Maybe use zip ties or something. So I'm gonna call it a night, since it's been really a trying night with that nut. Really scared the living crap out of me. So yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna go get an extension for the half-inch heater hose, so that I can connect it from the AOS, or right from here, to that pipe, because right now that's what I'm missing, and I can't really put the intake manifold in and the rest until I get that heater hose sorted out. And I should be moving tomorrow. I should get a lot of things done tomorrow. So anyway, I'll follow up in the morning. See you guys.